Hi and welcome to The Chat with Mike and Matt. I'm Mike.
And I'm Matt.
And this is episode 5.
Suicide prevention in men. So a little bit heavier this week.
Yeah. There is still going to be, out of all of these discussions that we're going to have, a lot of them are going to fall upon each other.
Correct.
And this is no different with this episode, other than, we feel it's probably the heaviest one we've got on our agenda, isn't it?
100%. It's still a very, very sore subject.
It is
very sensitive subject,
and it does affect a lot of people out there. So we're going to start today. We've got some information from a group called the Priory Group.
What, they've sent it to us personally, have they?
Sort of, not kinda. They allowed us to go on their website and have a look. So that's how they gave it to us.
Gotcha.
But the Priory, it's a mental health, addiction, and social care service, and they cover a whole range of, well, anything that is on your mind. They're there to listen to you and support you. And what they have provided us is personally is some information from 2020, where they asked 100,000
adults, men. Sorry, 100,000 men, and they came up in 2020. There was 6,000 suicides.
So it was 6,000 suicides across the board in the UK.
That was
4,639 of those individuals were men, which is 74% of that population.
Which is pretty insane statistic, isn't it?
3/4 of that group of people were men. So, I mean, what are we doing wrong?
Many things.
Like, it's crazy. That's nuts. I think that really does show that, like, the different stresses and stuff that men and women sort of go through,
and how differently we deal with it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I know I keep on jumping from lots of different things as well, but this lot, like, there was a discussion that a transgender man had mentioned. He'd made the journey from becoming a woman to a man, and I think it was like 6 months into that, they were like, "Fuck this!" Like, be like,
do you think
the struggles that you go through as a man apparently are a lot harder?
Do you think
on a day-to-day
that it's a lot more of those struggles were because she was a woman transitioning into a man?
Quite possibly that could have its own, but then I don't know.
No, me neither. So
I really don't know. I can't put myself in that position, but I just feel the numbers suggest that what he was saying is he was saying it's a lot harder to deal with a day-to-day life.
And apparently, according to the Priory, 40% of men have never spoken about mental health.
Yeah, I can understand.
But I mean, I read that, and I thought it would be lower.
Well, this day and that, you mean as of 2020?
Of 2020, I thought it'd be a bit lower.
Yeah, I thought it would be more like maybe 20%, 25% of people.
Again,
this is from 100,000. Again, this isn't like the
UK population.
Whatever many men are in the UK these days, 40 million odd or something. But
and like, what are the reasons? Like, why do you think that men haven't, like 40% haven't spoken about it?
I guess it's got to come back to the stigma, surely, like, of actually, like, sort of saying that sort of fear of,
and not wanting to be a burden on anyone.
Yeah, that's
sort of thing.
Yeah, I think, what was that?
Embarrassed, like, people might find that embarrassing as well.
So they asked the question, actually, and 36% of people have said that they didn't do it because they didn't want to be a burden on anyone else. So again, just trying to go through it for yourself.
That's such a big percentage, isn't
it? Yeah.
Not nice.
Or is it? I don't know.
Well, for 36% out of 100,000.
So 36,000 people.
I'm so happy that you came out with that. I'm sitting there in my head thinking, shit, right, what's that percentage? How much is that in people?
So 36,000 people out of 100,000 people have said that they felt that they were a burden talking about their mental health.
That's a lot.
It is a significant amount of people, really. I mean, they managed to let the people know who were doing the survey, yeah. But then they wouldn't have gone into their actual issues or anything. They're just like, I don't want to talk about them because it's a burden. But that could have been the perfect step to...
That could have been the perfect step to opening up and breaking the stigma.
Maybe they did take that step. Maybe they did. So fingers crossed they did.
So
29% of individuals...
Well, they would have done, wouldn't they?
I
The
think
Priory,
so.
they're a mental health and social care,
yeah.
so I'm sure they would have.
Yeah, it would have... I mean, if you were sort of just...
I'd like to think they would have.
Well, if you were given that information then and saying, look, this is what we do, we just want to ask you a few questions, I think for me personally, I would have sort of, in my little tiny cerebellum up here, they would have gone, oh, actually, well, tell me more. Like, can I actually take your details?
You would have turned around to them and said, no, I'm on my way to the shop to get a Red Bull and 2 cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
There's no way that you would have stopped.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know. I feel like, but then
But then again, we're talking about as if they're like doing the survey in the street.
Yeah, of course.
You know.
Yeah, I don't know how they actually did this survey. Oh, see, they didn't give us all this information. The Priory.
Exactly. Well,
yeah. 20% of people, 20% of them said that it was the stigma of actually opening up. So actually, like 20,000 people said that actually they just didn't want to. They couldn't break that sort of barrier to actually go and seek
take
help.
the first step.
Yeah. And I guess as well, it's like it's going and looking for it. That's the thing, isn't it?
It is. That's the most difficult part.
And I can completely relate to people not having that drive to then go and actually have a look and find out for themselves, like how they can better themselves and things. Because, yeah, at the minute, like when things just get on top of you, things keep on coming, keep hitting you, keep knocking you back, keep hitting you down.
When it rains, it pours.
I'm getting to the end of my tether at the minute. And I think I'm sort of part of that.
That 20%.
Well, not the 20% because I'm here, but...
Don't be the 74 part of the 74%.
No.
I can't do this podcast by myself.
God.
That'd be way too much pressure.
I don't think I could, though. I wouldn't.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So obviously we've heard the facts. Like, why do you think men are more likely to commit suicide than women?
Well, again, just through looking at different websites, not just through the Priory, but also through there was another one like through the Samaritans as well. That the most common cause of suicide in younger men is money and finance, which again comes down to the thing that we have absolutely been like plugging on this show is like, well, money, finance. Yeah.
If people don't know we're poor by now, they're never going to know what poor we are.
But then to read that and to think, actually, do you know what? That we are at the most stressful point of our lives, and it's all coming down to like finances, money, not being able to support our families, etc., etc. And to actually like read and go, oh fuck, like that is the number one cause of suicide for young men. Was a bit of an eye opener. I'm not. We're not really young men anymore, but
we're not old. We're not as young as we used to be.
No,
I like saying it like that. So, we're not old, but we're not young anymore.
No,
we're not youthful.
We're not youthful.
Sprightly.
But
I think age plays a part in it as well, though. Like obviously, with older men. I say older, like we're quite fortunate where we are, but you know, a lot of the time, as you get older, you could become more isolated. Like, you have less friends to confide in,
and that will bring in levels of depression,
exactly,
as well.
And loneliness. You know, and obviously that will be a common factor. Of suicide.
Well, the causes they say in older men is health. Yeah. So that makes sense, I guess. Like again, I'm a bit of a walking mess at the minute well. But then that leads to depression, so it's health and depression in older men is the main cause of why people of that age would then commit suicide. So yeah, like I feel like we're kind of we're sort of in that area where we're young
grey
enough to
area.
be complaining about the money, and we're just getting old enough to complain about our health. So
Give it a few more years, and then we'll be complaining about health.
yeah, Dude,
and then we won't be so concerned about the money anymore.
It would just
be the health and the crossover, the fade. For those of you who don't know, I worked for Surrey Police for a few years. I worked in a contact centre, so obviously I answered the 999 calls. We actually dealt with a lot of calls from people who are suffering from mental health. Anyway, there was one, it was a Friday night, and I got a phone call, and it was a guy telling me that there was a body found at the bottom of a multi-storey car park in Staines, and the police needed to attend. I was like, yep, cool, thank you very much. Thanks for letting us know. Anyway, police got there, the body was there, but they found a phone on top of the car park, and it turns out the guy that called me was actually ringing in his own suicide.
Shit.
So I was the last person he spoke to, and it kind of shit me up a little bit, because I was like,
how did that?
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like, you know, I look back at myself, I was like, if I knew that he was gonna do that,
you would have had no. You had no idea. You would have had no idea.
Absolutely no idea, because
Like-
I mean, how could I? He was just telling me that they found a dead body,
Fucking
and I was
hell,
like,
Matt.
so you kind of like question yourself, like, oh, man. But then I literally thought to myself, there is nothing that I could have done
No,
to
not
prevent
at all.
that.
No.
He knew what he was going to do.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't mention it to me at all, so therefore I was never gonna find out. So that kind of, like, working for that, you used to get shit calls all the time.
I was going to say
But
that job.
that was one of the only ones that's like ever stuck with me.
Mm.
And it's the only,
Yeah, I bet.
it's one of the only calls where I finished my shift, gone home, went to bed, and thought about it. Because normally you just, the main thing about obviously work, that sort of job, you leave your work at work.
Yeah.
Once you go, that's it. But that's the only call that's like stayed with me, like, and I still remember it clear as day.
I
today.
think you've got to have some serious, like, what's the word I want?
Cojones.
Yeah, I guess just nerve to be able to just.
Like the training's
to do that
so
job.
intense.
I don't know if I could do that.
Like
job.
the training is so intense. It's like 8 weeks. So you are trained to deal with like suicide situations
Sure.
and stuff like that. And I had a couple of other calls as well.
But I know that this is obviously about suicide today. But like, just anything else like domestic abuse and stuff. I don't think I could do that
So,
job. Like, wow.
Like domestic violence and domestic abuse were quite a regular thing.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
kids would call you up saying mummy's hit daddy or daddy's hit mummy and stuff. And there was one, again, it's the second call that's stuck with me for ages. We were talking about it earlier when we weren't on the podcast, but it was another one I'll tell you about. It was on a Friday night again, and a little girl called me and said, Mummy and Daddy are having an argument, and they're hitting each other. And I could hear it all in the background. And she said, like, Daddy's going to try and come and get me. I was like, okay, well, where are you at the moment? It's like, I'm hiding in my cupboard in my bedroom. I was like, okay, well, do you feel unsafe at the moment? She's like, yeah, I'm really scared. I was like, okay, well, stay there. And then the main thing that we're trying is to keep them on the phone. So the police, I've tapped in what's going on, that I can see the police are already on their way around. And I remember having to keep, because you've got to keep them on the phone, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember I could hear X Factor playing in the background on the TV. And I was like, oh, you're watching X Factor? And luckily I'd been forced to watch it like the previous weekend. So I was just like, oh, so what do you think of blah, blah, blah? And like literally just talking to her about X Factor. And then as soon as you do that, she's calming down. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I heard, and she's like, I think the police are here. I was like, okay, do you want to hold on and check? And the police were there. I was like, okay, thank you for talking. And hung up, but I was like, that was difficult.
Yeah.
That was really hard.
Mate,
But-
that sort of job. What would be the, like, how long did you work that job for? Because I can only imagine, like,
2.5, 3 years.
wow, I suppose you get used to it. I guess you must
Yeah,
have,
like,
like, there's something
It was
inside you.
it was
that's-
such a rewarding job, That's one thing I will say.
Okay.
The reason why I left was the pay. The pay was awful compared to some of the stuff that you have to deal with and you have to listen to. But it was like after that phone call, like I've also
The suicide one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the suicide one, that was like awful. But then when I managed to keep that girl on the phone and the police came, and then, you know, whatever happened, that was a nice feeling, because I was like,
you've
I've kept that girl safe.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was, so that you do get a lot of rewarding calls as well.
Yeah.
You get a lot of nutters.
Sure.
And time wasters. But many, many different stories. I could rattle on. I could
was
rattle
that-
on for hours.
That was that your did you have any other like suicide calls that, or ones that you might have like helped someone? Would you have?
There was not helping someone called in a suicide, but they knew that someone was in there commit suicide. So
Right.
it was a next door neighbour. He called up and said, I think my next door neighbour's committed suicide. I'm in his living room now, and the door in the kitchen is closed, and it says on a note that I'm in here, I'll be hanging, I've committed suicide, blah blah blah. And he's like, please, and he wrote in the note, please don't come in because you'll see me there. And so obviously the neighbour didn't go in, wait for the police to get there, and he had committed suicide. I don't know the reasons for it. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs. I just know what actually happened
Right.
when I was there. So obviously that's distressing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, to do that job, you kind of have to just be mentally hard.
yeah. Yeah. I was
Like-
going to say, you have to have a level of mental toughness to be able to do that job.
It's a difficult job, but you do get the like I said, the training is so intense, and they cram so much in that 8 weeks.
So I suppose for you actually then, that guy was that you were the last person he spoke to,
Yeah.
and I'm assuming that's the thing that kind of like messed you up a bit.
Yeah, it did, because like, even though I know I couldn't have done anything, it's like if he'd just told me
I'm on top of a roof.
I'm on top of a roof.
A car park.
even just to keep him there until the police arrived,
To arrive,
you know.
yeah.
But he'd obviously planned it all, and it was
Problem is,
Yeah, it was-
I don't think.
it was difficult with that one.
I think if you got into yourself into that position, your chances are you are just. If you have nowhere else to go,
It was almost like he
Nothing-
must have accepted it.
Yeah, like-
you know, being completely at peace with himself to do it like that. Yeah, so that was fucking hard.
fucking hell, mate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've lost a couple of friends. Through suicide, and it's just not. It's not knowing. Like, I mean, my perfect example. Sorry, I'm gonna just jump through here.
So,
Is Robin Williams for me.
yeah.
Is the biggest example I can possibly think of or use. Someone who was the happiest, like, well, you say happiest, but in front of people was the happiest, funniest, most giving individual. He looked after people on their set. He looked after the kids on set in a sense where it's like, hang on, they're working too hard. Give them a break. Sort of like really. And for someone like that who can go on and just boom, be that guy that brings happiness to everyone,
It's
brings
insane,
joy
isn't
to
it?
everyone, and he was inside just the complete opposite. And I use Robin Williams as the example because if any of you are going through or have known anyone who has done it, and you kick yourself and you say, "Oh, I should have known, I could have done more," or any of these sorts of things that you might be thinking, you don't have to beat yourself up as much, because actually, like, if someone who was the happiest and funniest guy in life is able to do that, and no one really sort of people knew that he was depressed,
Yeah.
and that's just it. If someone that you know who was going through something or might have committed suicide, and you just didn't, and you just don't know, you just don't know. And we will talk about things like the signs and stuff, that you might be able to sort of like, you might be able to see signs, and we will go through those a little bit later on in today's episode. But I'm struggling. I'm struggling.
Don't worry about it.
Because I do still feel that, even though I've just said, like, even if you don't know and there's nothing that you can actually do, I'm assuming in most instances you won't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's the sad thing for me, is like, I don't blame anyone who goes through it. I don't blame anyone who takes their own life, as long as it doesn't, like the actual act of doing it doesn't affect other people. Again, like, I know I keep on jumping through things, but I was saying to you before the other day that when Melody and I started dating, she was on her way to work and someone had thrown themselves off of a bridge on the A3.
Mm-hmm.
And Melody had sort of put it on Facebook. She sort of said, "Oh, trying to get to work. Someone's jumped off of the A3. Like, queues are all way backed up," sort of thing. And some fucking jabroni jumped on there and was like having a go at her. "How fucking dare you? Like, someone's lost their lives."
One of the first Karens.
Yeah, I guess so. And I jumped in there, not because obviously it was my girlfriend or anything, but actually it was more like, well, hang on a second, mate. Had that person had committed suicide at home, that I wouldn't. Then fine. But the fact that that person threw themselves off of a bridge, landing on a car, so it injured someone in that car.
Fucking hell.
Okay, so it's not just their life that they're now taking, they're potentially taking somebody else's life in the process of taking their own, and that, I find, is the selfish part of committing suicide. That part is selfish. The act of doing it, if you're doing it by yourself in your room, or however whatever the way that you do it, or, you know, again, I was going to start listing things then, but I don't want to give people any kind of like
So, Mike, what's the best way
to off yourself? But that's the thing. If it affects other people in that sense, like, if you're gonna do it, like my friend, I don't think they would never have done anything like that. Like some grandiose kind of here I go, see you later. But again, finding out about that, it was I would never have pictured those individuals to end it, and without talking to anyone that I can, because all of the people that I was talking to about it, who knew the same people, and no one had an idea. And that's the thing, that's the scary, like, no one had an idea about it. We knew stuff was tough, and we'd always be like, obviously, just, well, you know me, I'm like, call me and let me know if you need anything. I'm always there, 24/7, phone's always on. So it's, you can offer yourself, you can be there for it, but unless someone's actually willing to,
if they've made that decision.
But I still, even to this day, I can't actually wrap my head around, like, the process of it all, and not allowing people to come in and help you. Like, that's the thing for me. Like, I just feel, because they knew that I was there. And again, I'm not blaming myself. It's not my fault that these individuals are now not here. And it's also not my fault that they didn't come and try and speak about it, because obviously they were hurting so much that was their only sort of choice. And that's the thing. I don't know. What other choices have people got? Like, what are the other options for people to try and pull themselves out of whatever this is? Because we're going through some serious depression. Like, we're hurting, me and you. And I know that we do this and we're trying to sort of fix that for ourselves, and we're trying to do it with a little bit of humour at times and stuff, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Like, and that's the thing. Like, through all of these years, I still don't know what the answer is. Like,
I wish I could tell you, mate.
And these 6,000 other people in 2020, like, what was the answer for them? What was the thing that would actually? Because I know, going back and talking about Robin Williams, the guy had money, the guy had status, he had people around him.
He had everything.
And it wasn't enough. So what is an average Joe going to do in a society, in a world where we can't afford to pay for our fucking bills, we can't afford to, in some instances, buy food? I totally fucking get why people rob from shops now and, like, turning to a life of crime. I can understand why people do it when, like I'll admit something to you. I stole a cream egg the other day.
So did I.
Did you? A cream egg?
A cream egg.
I stole a white chocolate cream egg.
Oh, mine was a regular one.
Oh, okay. But I would never have ever done that.
Didn't you feel really naughty when you did it?
I felt really I did feel there was a bit of a rush, actually.
See, mine was accidental.
Oh, right. No, mine was
yeah, and then when I went to pay for it, I was like, it was in my pocket because I dropped it. And I was like, do I be honest? I was like, you know what? No.
Yeah.
I'm going to have that cream egg. Walked out.
And that was it.
Fucking ate it, didn't I?
Oh, man. See, I feel bad. I feel bad. But that's the thing. But that's just it. We have a conscience and we feel bad for these sorts of things. But it's going to get to a point, mate, where, like, I'm going to have to start a fucking, like, gang, criminal, underworld kind of thing or something.
Let's do it together.
So we just start, like, a new criminal order or something. I don't know. So there was something I wanted to discuss today, which I thought would be quite good, given the subject matter, which is Switzerland. Switzerland, yes.
What about Switzerland?
Well, they have assisted death, don't they? They have assisted dying there, where people from here will fly over there. So my question to you is, should we have that in this country, or should every country have that kind of... is it a service? It is, I get that service available to you.
Service. It's a tricky one. I believe if you're terminally ill and you're in pain and you're at that point where I just don't want to live anymore, then I believe that's...
I would agree with you 100%.
I believe that's a good thing. But for suicide, no. I don't think so.
So that's the thing. It's for anyone that wants to do it, I believe, as long as you're not being coerced into doing it.
Yeah.
So as long as you're not being forced into doing it, it's fine. But again, like I thought, if it's for depression, I'm not sure if that would qualify. Like, obviously, if you're terminally ill and you want to end it on you because you know you're going to die and you want to end it on your own terms, I guess, rather than letting the cancer or the whatever.
It's a really tricky one, but
the pain that you're going through, which is why people end up doing it, is because they can't stand the pain anymore most of the time. In my mind, that's why. Again,
that's a really tricky one, but I don't think suicide should be an option.
No,
for that.
I don't think so either.
I don't think anyway.
Like you said, I think if you're terminally ill, you know your time's up.
And it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
And you're in pain.
Then I think that should be like kind of a choice almost.
Yeah.
And that's your choice. Well, I'm glad we can agree on that then.
That was pretty straightforward, that, wasn't it? No and no.
No and no.
I mean, do you think it would never come over to this country anyway, would it? They'd never.
I don't know. I think you've got to look at it not even from what's the right thing to do, but maybe even just from like a financial point of view, from the government's point of view. If they can make money from it, they'd probably do
They'll
it.
be all over it.
Yeah. to be honest with you. Whether if that was the case, they'd have legalised fucking weed by now and those kind of drugs, I suppose.
It'd all be a happier place.
Well, not necessarily, but then at least they'll be taxing that shit. There'll be more money than coming in, and then that saves like money going up on your rent or your food or anything else like that, because you're taxing.
So what you're saying, you just really want to legalise weed?
Listen, I'm trying to actually stop that. Like, I'm actually trying to stop being that guy who smokes it.
It's good.
But even if I wasn't a smoker, like, I would still say, even cocaine to this point, because the thing is, it's still going to be sold on the streets. People are still, like, drug dealers are still making money. Gangs are making money from this. Fucking legalise it. Just legalise it. Make it cleaner, okay? Because that way then you know... No, seriously, hear me out. But if you know what is going into that drug, you can control it better. It's still going to be bad for you, obviously, but then we have alcohol. If that's the case, the argument should be, right, well, all alcohol and everything else goes, because everything like that is a drug.
Yeah.
So people are still going to do it. People are still going to get their hands on it, whether it's legal or illegal. So why not just make it legal? Tax the fucking shit out of it. Like, we make so much money.
Price most people out of it, isn't it?
Potentially, but it would create jobs for a start. Right?
What, dealers?
No, people to actually make the stuff, like, and
Go on in,
and logistics, transportation, all the rest of it. Take that out of the drug dealers' hands, put it into the government's hands, create jobs, make it cleaner, sell it for whatever you want, really, I guess, because people would still pay it, especially if it's legal.
So if you got a job as a dealer, what would your ideal salary be?
Well, no, it would be like sold in like shops, wouldn't it?
No, you're going to get an hourly salary. You're going to get a free bike.
What's your hourly rate at Tesco's?
I don't know. Anyone know what? I'm guessing.
Let's say it's
$11.50.
Oh, I don't know. That sounds way high. I don't know. What would it be these days? Even if you said it was a tenner an hour.
I think minimum wage for our age, I think it's like $11.75 or something like that.
Oh, he's done by age. I didn't know that.
No, there's brackets. I think it's like under 16.
Ah, well, sorry.
16 to 21, 21 to 25, and over 25.
Right, okay. Well, regardless, like with like
this
they do
has been
like,
such a ramble, isn't it?
It has.
We're talking about
no, but it kind of I guess so. But we were talking about it in the sense that
I can't remember what. I can't even remember how.
We were talking about legalising
weed, but there was a bit before that.
No, but we were also talking. Well, the main crux of it was we were talking about assisted death within the UK and how if it could make money for the government, they'd probably jump on board with it, and that's what then led to they should just legalise all the drugs because like that will make them money.
That's where me and you come together, and we make like a Deliveroo or Just Eat. For
Just
Crack.
That already exists, I think, if you have the right numbers. So I guess we're going to refer back to our new best friends at the Priory now, and we're going to go through a list that they've provided.
Yeah, they sent us to us personally.
Through us going onto their website and having a look for the information ourselves. But, we're Teamsters, we're good. And it's sort of, we're going to just list out a couple of things that they've said, sort of what to look out for, within loved ones and stuff for
anyone really.
For anyone, yeah. So let's make it fun. How about you do one, I do one?
That's a great idea, Mike.
So we're all getting involved.
Would you like to go first?
It's the long one. Okay, yeah. So the first one on our list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 7. If there is a noticeable shift in their mood of whoever the individual is that you might be talking about looking after whoever
that person.
But there's a noticeable shift in their mood. Even a calmer mood apparently can be a cause of alarm.
We would go back to that conversation that I had with that guy.
Police. Had
he was
no
calm
idea.
As you like.
Yeah,
absolutely no idea.
But you didn't know him, so I guess like
all right,
wouldn't have. No, sorry. Enough. I mean, like, so you wouldn't have known that he was
exactly. Yeah, I wouldn't have known who he was.
Maybe he could have been, but more calm.
He had a very calm attitude with me.
Yeah.
So you got
but having someone with a really calm mood that might not have been that calm before, that might be their way of expressing that they have come to terms with what they're going to do. They're at peace, that they're going to end it or whatever. So people suddenly behaving like way calmer than usual.
Yeah,
and not doing drugs.
There's the drugs again.
Oh, yeah. Advocate.
So you've got extreme levels of despair and hopelessness.
Mm-hmm.
Basically completely the opposite of
Yep.
of calm, really.
You're like, so I feel like this list is going to be like, we'll get to the end of it and then we'll just assume everyone's trying to kill themselves because like there's going to be so many
I mean, I did
things.
have a read through it earlier and they've just described every emotion.
Right.
I was like, you just summed up a person, really.
Right.
It could be anyone.
But
we're
again,
going to carry on anyway.
But we're talking about this in the context that if it was Matt, and I know Matt, and if Matt suddenly started not being as funny, or if he was just a lot quieter or something, I would pick up on that. And that's kind of the point of this list. It's if you are obviously know that individual so well,
Indeed.
and all of a sudden it changes. But talking about or thinking about or writing about suicide or death in itself, apparently that's
researching
it. Yeah.
That's a bit more difficult trying to find research. You can't just go up to someone and go, can I just have a look at your web history?
Yeah. Yeah. Unless, of course, it's a scenario where you're sharing a laptop or something and it pops up, and then you kind of, if that comes up, I mean, God, if I saw that, I'd, like, if Melody was looking at it, I'd be like, are you right? Like, what the fuck is this about? Like,
yeah.
What? Is it me? Probably.
Another one kind of really, which is almost like a giveaway that someone's thinking about doing it, is like saying goodbye to friends and relatives. You know, like obviously if
really out of the blue, weird. Like,
exactly. I mean, like, if I called you and said, "Mate, just want to
let you know
I love you, mate.
Yeah,
and I'll see you later." Oh, you'd be like, "That's weird."
Withdrawing from friends and family. So I sort of talked about that a lot. Episode before last, I think, where like I became a social recluse, or like sort of would bail a bit just because, again, like you can't enjoy yourself going on a night out sort of thing. But I guess that would be another notable one of just the absence of that individual being there. What are they doing? What are they up to?
Pretty self-explanatory. Purchasing something which could be used for suicide, such as knife or saving pills. Now, if someone goes through my bedside table, it looks like I'm hoarding pills.
Yeah.
But I'm alright.
It's just because you got like
I'm alright.
A head mental issue.
Exactly. Brain mental, I call it.
Brain mental. So if you notice, actually someone has got like gathered up a shed loads of painkillers or something. I think it will be quite sleeping, but anything like that, I think, which is quite noticeable, then you might want to sort of pull them up on it and just say,
what are these for?
Trying to sleep, hey?
Yeah.
Want to talk about it? Want to talk about it? So that's another one. High levels of anxiety or agitation. Again, like you said, that's quite a common thing for most people in this day and age.
Anxiety is.
Yeah. As we said, like 20% of all adults aren't working. At least I can definitely say at least 20% of all adults are suffering from anxiety. Then, like,
yeah, definitely.
Don't need the Priory for that statistic, but So, but again, I suppose that's a change in if you know someone who then suddenly has a change in their behaviour, and all of a sudden they're showing signs of agitation where they didn't before, then obviously you can sort of pick them up on that.
Yeah.
How you doing? Do you want to talk about it? Let's go grab a beer or go grab some dinner, or come over and we'll play some video games and chat
some
like real men.
Games. Excessive alcohol use or drug abuse.
God, you love going on about drugs today, mate.
I know, it's terrible, isn't
it? Yeah. I was agitated. Yes.
This is coming from the man that's got Albanian contacts in his phone.
I actually don't. I don't.
No, he doesn't.
Genuinely, I don't. I'm just about just the weed.
yeah, it's pretty kind of.
But I suppose, yeah, if someone who's all of a sudden starts hitting the drink or starting, you know, all of, like, again, we had a friend back in the day, part Scottish friend, who all of a sudden he found drugs, didn't he? He was going through a tough time.
I think we were 18, 19.
Well, I think it started happening. I mean, it happened quite a few years before that. I think he kind of went through a bit of a life change, and then he just kind of.
He used to have a couple of beers and he used to get a bit aggressive, didn't he? And then he moved to North London and just went bang on the drugs and booze.
And someone, again, like, I hate saying it, but like someone, again, with so much potential.
He was so clever at school.
Smart.
He could have been a neuroscientist. He really could have.
Yeah. But went through a bit of a life-changing moment, didn't react very well to it, started drinking, started doing a lot of drugs, and saw him a few years ago, actually. Looked fine.
Did you?
Yeah, I saw him on a train, and I did sort of say, you know, we should, as you do with anyone, we should try and grab a beer sometime.
I think
I did take his number, and when I say it might have been only a few years, it's probably a lot longer than that now, to be fair, actually, thinking of it. Definitely before COVID, so...
I liked him. I had a lot of time for him.
Yeah, until he tried to burn people's eyes out with a cigarette.
Yeah, I lost a little bit of respect for him after that one.
So yeah, just that was obviously just a point that a sudden change in someone's behaviour using alcohol or drugs, then definitely look into that. Something is going on with that person.
Exactly. So we'd like to thank the Priory for that, providing us with that list. So
thank you, Priory. Our good buddies over at the Priory. But not just the Priory. We'd like to sort of finish this video, again, plug in our brilliant NHS, and obviously all the things that they do for us. If you go onto the NHS website, or if you call 111, yeah, if you call 111, if you can't get on the website, the website will provide you with so many different avenues of help, and we will show them we'll put them in the description. Yeah, in the links description below. Yeah. We will have like numbers and details of the Samaritans, which is on the NHS website.
What's that, Mike? You have a fun fact about the Samaritans?
A fun fact about the Samaritans. The first call that they ever took for help was in 1953.
Wow. You learn something new every day.
Which my maths isn't quite... It's about, what,
53.
72 years ago?
Yeah.
72 years.
There's papyrus, isn't there? There's another one.
Yeah, so papyrus, I think they do... the same thing as the Samaritans, and I believe all of these are volunteers.
They are.
And I believe that they are all trained by Mental Health UK. I'm not 100% sure on. I'm sure they are. They would be.
They're all trained.
They're all trained.
I don't know by who, but they are definitely all trained.
So Samaritans, they are for everyone. So for any age. If you're struggling, get in contact with Samaritans. They are there for everyone. Papyrus or papyrus,
I think it is.
So that's a prevention in suicide line, and they specialise more with under 35.
Under 35,
so the younger gen. Yeah.
And obviously you've got the Suicide Prevention UK, which is suicide prevention for
I think they are
in the United Kingdom.
I believe they are for everyone as well.
And I know they started in 2018.
Oh yeah,
that's my fact.
In Bristol.
Didn't know that.
Well,
Bristol.
There was the guys that actually set it up. They went through something quite traumatic themselves.
Okay.
And they lost.
Excuse me.
They lost a loved one, or two loved ones in this instance. If you go on their website, it will give you all of the information there. And obviously, they are there to help inspire. So if you are suffering, get on that website, go and find out whichever one might work for you.
And we'll put all those links in the description below.
Absolutely. Well, that's the end of episode 5. Thank you so much for joining us.
That was heavy, wasn't it?
It was rather heavy. at times, and
But we got through it.
we did, and
We did.
hopefully there's something in here that will, again, help you guys at home. And yeah, we just want to say, if you are going through something, then
Reach out.
reach out.
Ask
You're
for
not
help.
you're not alone,
You are not alone.
and you can do anything if you just believe. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please click that like button, click that subscribe button. I've been Mike.
And I've been Matt. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Adios.